Introduction: The hidden language of the heart. I want you to think about the women in your life who are masters of emotional control. Not the ones who wear their hearts openly, but the ones who are guarded, careful, and seem to pull back precisely when the connection deepens. What if I told you that in this emotional distance, a profound love story might be unfolding? What if the woman who appears indifferent is actually the one fighting the hardest battle, a silent war between the undeniable pull of her heart and the protective mechanisms of her mind? Today, we are moving beyond the obvious signals of affection. We are delving into the subtle, almost imperceptible, tells that emerge when a woman cares too much to show it. These are the defensive maneuvers, the calculated actions, and the sophisticated language of hidden love. Understanding these signs requires more than casual observation. It requires emotional intelligence and the patience of a Stoic to see the truth beneath the surface of control.
1.
The archaeology of her attention. Love leaves traces, even when we attempt to erase them. Like an archaeologist unearthing an ancient civilization, you can discover evidence of her true feelings in the sedimentary layers of her behavior. Deep explanation. This is not about the superficial likes or comments. That is performed attention. Archaeological attention is systematic and deeply invested. She is a silent student of your emotional landscape, the observation pattern. She watches your content, stories, and social media presence, but she is never the first to engage. Her visibility is rationed. She is always there, but never obviously. This timing is deliberate. It avoids signaling immediate interest or dependency. The detail recall. She remembers subtle details from your posts, conversations, or casual mentions weeks later, and then weaves them into a completely unrelated context. For her, these details are not forgotten facts. They are data points in a private study. She knows your patterns, preferences, and triggers better than you do, but she will never let you know she's been taking notes. She sees the story behind the post, noticing when you are feeling off, excited, or struggling, and calibrates her own responses accordingly.
2.
The paradox of protective distance. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive sign. The woman who loves you most is often the one who seems to need you least. She has mastered the art of caring deeply while appearing completely self-sufficient. Deep explanation. This is not a game of playing hard to get. It is a profound strategy of self-preservation. She has likely learned through past pain that vulnerability and dependency are dangerous. Her love is expressed through giving, which allows her to be close without exposing her own needs. The shield of usefulness. She will be the first to offer help, support, and resources when you are struggling, but she will never, ever ask for help herself, and she will minimize her own challenges. By being helpful, useful, and indispensable, she creates an emotional fortress where she can care for you without the terrifying risk of needing you in return. The intimacy pullback. She may create distance when the connection feels most real or intimate. This could manifest as canceling a deeply personal plan or suddenly becoming emotionally unavailable after a breakthrough conversation. This is not rejection, but a reflexive step back from a fire she's afraid might burn her. She is trying to survive the intensity of loving you, the language of deflected intimacy. When someone is determined not to show love, they develop a highly sophisticated language of deflection. They find ways to express their deep feelings while maintaining absolute plausible deniability. Deep explanation. Her affection is wrapped in general principles, and her care is disguised as philosophy. She speaks about her feelings for you in the third person. The shielding advocate. Listen to how she talks about you to others. She will defend you fiercely, not by citing a personal connection, but by using abstract principles like fairness, justice, or context. For example, when others criticize you, she'll say, "He's dealing with a lot right now," or "You have to be fair to him," as if she is just being the voice of reason. She is shielding you, but pretending it's just basic human decency. The abstract confession. In direct conversation, she replaces personal feelings with universal truths. Instead of the vulnerability of, "I worry about you," she uses the general statement, "People should take better care of themselves." Instead of the confession, "I miss you," she says, "It's important to maintain friendships." She is confessing her inner world to you, but through a filter of impersonal philosophy, removing the personal I from the emotion. 4. The choreography of calculated casualness. There is an art to appearing casual when every single interaction is painstakingly choreographed. The woman who loves you but won't show it is a master of controlled spontaneity. Deep explanation. Every accident and every coincidence is deliberate. She is creating a system where she can maximize proximity and interaction without seeming to initiate or pursue. The deliberate coincidence. She happens to be in places where you might be. She, coincidentally, has tickets to an event you mentioned you'd enjoy. She suggests meeting at the coffee shop you once mentioned you liked. She positions herself to be helpful or present in your life in ways that seem effortless and natural, making even herself believe it was chance. The selective availability. This choreography extends to her emotional presence. She will be present and helpful during your crises, difficulties, problems, struggles. This is a safe space for her to be needed without being wanted in a romantic sense, and it aligns with her protective distance. However, she may subtly disappear or become unavailable during your celebrations, success, excitement, good news. This is because joy and celebration often bring a deeper, more intimate closeness that she is afraid to risk. 5. The semiotics of selective sharing. The woman who loves you secretly becomes a master of strategic vulnerability. She shares pieces of herself, but never the whole picture. Deep explanation. She reveals just enough to create an emotional connection and intimacy, but never enough to expose the full weight of her feelings for you. She is establishing trust in the relationship, but not trust in the connection's potential outcome. The edited narrative. She might tell you about a childhood trauma, her professional struggles, or her deepest fears, establishing a peculiar, powerful intimacy. She trusts you with these important parts of her life. However, she does not trust you with the truth about how important you are to her life. She is sharing her inner world, but carefully editing out the parts where you live. The missing context. Notice what she doesn't share. She may talk about her anxiety or a feeling of loneliness, but she will strategically omit the context, that you are the only person who calms her, or that she is lonely for you specifically. She may speak of wanting to find someone special, but she will never admit, even to herself in your presence, that she has already found them. Conclusion. Approaching hidden love with wisdom. If you recognize these signs in someone, you must approach the situation with gentleness, patience, and intelligence. The woman who loves in secret has typically developed this protective style for good reasons. She is not hiding her feelings to hurt you. She is hiding them to protect herself from potential pain, vulnerability, and the disruption of a powerful, undeniable feeling. The most profound love is often the quietest. It speaks in the language of observation, protective distance, and deflected intimacy. Understanding this truth does not mean you are required to accept the distance forever, but it does mean you can approach her with the wisdom and respect that her inner battle deserves. See beyond the surface. Read between the lines. Recognize that sometimes the deepest, most abiding care is expressed through the most careful, controlled distance. This is the truth of a love that is fighting to survive its own intensity.